What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another exclusive interview. My name is Scott Mitchell, and today I am joined by one half of my personal favorite tag teams on the Indies today, Miracle Generation, and one of the top up-and-coming stars, single star, tag star, whatever you want to call him, Dustin Flash Waller. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, man. This has been one that's long overdue, and I'm really looking forward to working with you. You have such a bright future. Seeing what you do in the ring is insane. Like what you're able to pull off is crazy. So,
thank you so much. That means a lot, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I did want to start, I guess, from the beginning with you. And that is, when and why did you first get into professional wrestling growing up, whether it be as a kid or as a teenager, and just finding that love?
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily something that was crazy in my household. Like my mom and dad didn't really watch it, but it was something more that my father thought could just be like just a hobby for us to have. He's like, I don't watch it, but I know it is popular, so like let's start watching this wrestling thing. And like long and behold, it just turned into this obsession, honestly, for me. And it went from not just me being a fan of it, but me wanting to actually go out and do it. And I started watching wrestling when I was about like 8 or 9, and I started training at 16, and the rest is history.
Did you have any favorites or inspirations when you first started watching it?
When I was younger, honestly, I never had like a certain one person that I was just head over heels obsessed with. I was just engulfed with just wrestling in general. I just enjoyed everybody. Like, guys, you can go from John Cena's to The Rock's. I could go back and watch past stuff. Even now, seeing current stuff or going back and watching stuff from the past. I tried to especially now, I try to take something from everybody that I watch. But when I was younger, I honestly was just a fan of everybody. I had so much different memorabilia from every single wrestler. I never had like one that I was like, this is my guy, or this is the girl that I watch. This is the guy that I watch. Like, I was just a fan of everyone.
100%. And, fast forward a few years when you decided like you wanted to go all in and start training. What was that like for you when you made that decision?
Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school when I decided that I wanted to actually try to start wrestling. So I believe I made my debut at 16. So I started training at 15 at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling in East Haven, Connecticut, ran by Paul Roma and Mario Mancini. Myself, Alan, we trained there as well. But yeah, I started training there when I was about 15, and it just turned into like a whole nother school, I guess, in a way. Like, I was in high school, but in another sense, I was also in another school. So I never had college in my sights. Even before I started wrestling, I wasn't very school oriented. And once I started wrestling, that was just like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to dive in head first.
And did you have any mentors? I know you mentioned Paul Roma and the school that you trained at, but did you also have any mentors who kind of took you under their wing and turned you into the wrestler we see before us today?
Honestly, I would say someone who's a very close friend of mine now is Richard Holiday, who also was trained out of PAPW. He was someone that just wanted to help out. He didn't have many people when he first started to like be brought under their wing and to help him out. So when he saw, myself or Kylon trying to like just get out there and do our own thing, he was there to help us, whether it was just as simple as just getting in the car and going to a show with him, or telling us what we should or shouldn't be doing, or giving us any kind of advice. He's definitely someone that to this day is still very crucial in my career. And I don't know where I'd be without Holiday.
He's someone that I just love to watch. He plays a heel role perfectly, but I feel like he just really cares about the business, I guess is the right way to put it, without destroying his like heel persona.
Sure, yeah. No, he definitely is. I'm not going to say he's the best person of all time. He definitely, what you see is what you get. Like, I can say that 100%. What you see is what you get. So some people either love him or they hate him, and I'm just happy to say I like him a little bit.
That's awesome. And we could sit here for hours and talk about your career, and I've been fortunate to follow a lot of your career, and I love everything I see, truthfully, and I wish you lots of luck going forward. But I did want to fast forward to your matches this weekend. Let's start with Friday's match with Chaotic Wrestling. You and Kylon King will be taking on the Unit and the Powers of Influence in a 3-way match for the Chaotic Tag Team titles. What's your mindset heading into that one and competing with the Unit, who's arguably, I would say, the standard at Chaotic?
Yeah, myself and Kylon are roughly new to being at Chaotic, and ever since we've gotten there, we've been in the tag team title picture because I feel like Chaotic Wrestling knows what everyone else does is that we collect titles, and that's what we're trying to do at Chaotic. We started off going against the unit, then we had a big tag with the unit. We teamed up with Powers of Influence, and now we're facing them. DJ Powers and Jose Zamora, two really good competitors in their own right, but as well as a tag team. And now it's a triple threat tag for the Chaotic Tag Team title. So I can't see this ending any other way than us winning the Chaotic Tag Team Championships, because what would be better than to add another title to the shelf, you know? So I think Friday is definitely a good start to the future of Chaotic.
100%. And, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up your tag team with Kylon King, Miracle Generation, one of the greatest tag teams the Indies have ever seen, truthfully. When did that come about, and how did you and Kylon know you were just going to work so well together?
Well, like I said, we trained together, so we met at PAPW. I didn't know him before wrestling. We started singles, just as everybody else. We started off doing our own thing for maybe like 2, 3, almost 4 years. We were doing single stuff until we were just like, we should just try it out. Like, we train together. We have a lot of good chemistry outside the ring because we're really good friends. We see each other all the time. And it was Slick Wagner Brown at Test of Strength Wrestling in Connecticut that was just like, hey, these guys train together. Let's just put them in a tag team and see what happens. And he had us have a few matches over there at Test of Strength. And then Beyond Wrestling had the Uncharted Territory Discovery Gauntlet in 2022, I believe, or 2021, one of those years, I forget. And we just walked over there and they said, hey, are you a tag team? Because we were helping out with the ring every single week going over there for Uncharted. And they asked if we were a team. We said yes when we really weren't at the time, but, you know, you got to agree with whatever you're needed for, you know. And then we ended up winning that, and the rest of that was really just history. We just went on to just do what we're still doing to this day.
So when I watch you guys, I see a lot of like younger Motor City Machine Guns in there, and like younger Hardy Boys even in a way. But did you have any inspirations for what the team you wanted it to be like?
Honestly, kind of the same as how I look at when I watch wrestling myself. We take from everybody. You know, like you said, Motor City, huge inspiration to us. Obviously, the Hardy Boys. I could even throw Grizzly Young Veterans in there, guys that we've had the honor of sharing the ring with countless amount of times. Just try to watch the best tag teams, because there's a lot of singles wrestlers in tag teams. And that's the difference between tag team wrestling, is you can either have singles wrestlers in a tag team or tag team wrestlers in a tag team. So tag team wrestling is something that is just it is special at the end of the day. It's a whole nother genre of wrestling than singles competition. Like, it's really just a whole nother art form. And we got to be able to step in the ring with Motor City Machine Guns right before they got signed to WWE at Remarkable Wrestling. And there's so many other teams out there that we'd love to share the ring with, like the Hardys. Obviously, one day that'd be a dream. So yeah, we're just trying to get better and better because we want to reinvent tag team wrestling and, you know, just make it relevant again. And I think we're doing a pretty good job at trying that.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, it's interesting you talk about that because I interviewed Charlie Haas a while ago, and he was part of, you know, the world's greatest tag team with Shelton Benjamin, one of my favorite tag teams growing up. He said on the mainstream, it's seeing how far tag team wrestling has kind of fallen. It's been a little rough for him as a predominantly tag team wrestler to watch and see, but you know, then I see tag teams like you on the indie scene, and tag team wrestling is alive and thriving. What is your hope for like WWE? I'll even throw AEW in there, TNA, who they're building up their tag divisions, thankfully now, but it was in a little bit of a low period. So what is your hope for the future with that?
Yeah, I just hope tag team wrestling can be viewed as equal as any other style of wrestling, just as well as any other genre of wrestling. You see how hot deathmatch wrestling is becoming again. It was really hot years ago, then it dropped a little bit, and now it's on another rise. There's so many different styles of wrestling. I like to say that, and everyone likes to say that. Wrestling is just flavors of ice cream. That's all it is. Some people are going to like it, but it's still ice cream. So there's so many different styles of wrestling. Wrestling is wrestling. Just enjoy it. Just have fun. So I definitely think that tag wrestling is just important as singles wrestling, as women's wrestling, deathmatch wrestling, any style of wrestling that there is, any kind of wrestling. I just want everyone to enjoy wrestling because everyone's going to have their own flavor that they enjoy and their flavor that they might not enjoy. So yeah, just enjoy every flavor or try to.
I love that attitude because nowadays it's when you go on Twitter, you just see all the people who are like saying, "Oh, that's not real wrestling" and all that great stuff, and I'm just like, everyone just enjoy what you want to enjoy. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
That simple. When you and Kylan first started teaming together as Miracle Generation, did you foresee how the heights that you guys would reach together, or did it even come as a surprise to you in a way?
Oh yeah, and I feel like everything that I've done in my career up to this point is nothing that I would have even thought of. Like I would have never thought that I'd do half the things I've done. So with the tag team stuff, it wasn't even, we were just doing it for fun. We were like, we wanted to be a tag team, and now it's happening. So let's just see what happens. And then it just kind of snowballed. And the same thing with just getting to all these amazing promotions, wrestling some of the best tag teams in the world, and just having some of the most fun I've ever had, to be honest, because just being on the road with your best friend, there's ups and downs to it, obviously, but there's a lot more ups than there are downs. Like you're out there having fun, you're living your dream. Because at the end of the day, my dream was to be a pro wrestler. And the day that I debuted when I was 16, that's it. Dream's complete. Now what's next? Like I wasn't a big independent wrestling fan early on in my, fanhood, because I didn't really know what it was until I started getting into the wrestling business. When you got Kai, who loved independent wrestling, old school Ring of Honor, watching Japanese wrestling, like all that kind of stuff. So our styles just mesh, and I feel like we just complement each other very well. What I'm not the best at, he exceeds at, and vice versa for me with him. And I think now we're definitely getting more into our groove of like, now we know for the most part what works for us, and we're just having fun. That's the goal right now, is just to really just have fun.
And you guys essentially were crowned the best tag team on the independent wrestling scene when you won the IWTV Independent Tag Team Championships. How awesome was that to you to represent the indie scene as a whole, defend those titles all over, and work with some amazing tag teams during that run?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy, because when we won those, we didn't really know what was going to come of it. We know the history of the IWTV World Heavyweight Championship. You get like crazy names to have like held it, and crazy things to have done with it, like Orange Cassidy, Chris Statlander, Joshua Gresham, fucking so many people, so many. Excuse my language, but I was just like I get,
you're good.
Like it's one of those things where you talk about it, and then when it happens, you're like, oh wow, this is crazy, like. So being the second ever, because obviously Violence was the first, and defeating them, Violence Forever, another phenomenal tag team who's been all around the world doing all these crazy things. And like you said, to be able to take those titles to Canada, unfortunately, that's where we lost them, but still to be able to take them to Canada and all around the United States and have some of the craziest matches that we've been able to have, and ones that will live on forever in my memory for sure, just because when you're fighting for something, it definitely means a lot more, and there's a lot more at stake. So a lot of the matches for those titles were like a lot more important for sure. So I definitely don't take it lightly. And I think anyone that does have any kind of championship, it's like people say belts don't matter. They 100% do. You're a champion. You got to act like a champion. You can't be the same person you were when you weren't the champion. So I definitely think that reign is definitely one that I'll remember for sure.
And, you spoke about all the crazy matches a little bit that you guys had during that reign. Probably, I would say, one of the greatest tag team matches I've seen in the past 10 years. Unfortunately, happened the night you guys dropped the titles. But that had to be the match of the year. The magic that you and Fresh Air put on together. How much fun was that for you guys? Even though you came up on a losing end, unfortunately, how much fun was that for you guys to go home and see everyone talking about it and calling this the match of the year and calling this, like, giving it so much praise, which it deserved, rightfully so?
I do appreciate that. It was one of those things where you never go into things expecting. It's always like, go in with no expectations. Don't think it's going to be good. Don't think it's going to be bad. And Fresh Air are two guys, again, that should be seen a lot more than they are, because, again, they're from Canada, so they're not in the States as much. But we wrestled them a few times in the States and even once in Canada. And it's one of those things where we didn't know what the match was going to be. No one ever knows what it's going to be. And it's a fun fact. I've actually never even watched that match back, because it's one of those moments where, whether it was win, lose, or draw, the fans enjoyed it. The people that were watching enjoyed it. Like you said, the people online enjoyed it. If it doesn't even matter if I like it at that point. If the people that matter like it, the people that are watching, the people, that are responding to it like you said, like people were saying it was like match of the year, which is insane because there were so many crazy matches on that show. I think we wrestled right after Speedball versus Dijak, which is insane. So to main event their C4's biggest show of the year, with some guys that deserve it for sure from Fresh Air, it was definitely something I'll never forget.
And fast forward all the way to last week for you guys. You took on Busta and the Brain at Empire State Wrestling. That was actually on my 5 must-see match list of the weekend because that was just so freaking good. What was it like working with them and seeing all they've accomplished as well, whether they go by YDNP, Busta and the Brain, Alec Price, Jordan Oliver, 2 of the best around today also. You guys complimented each other very well, it looked like.
Oh, thank you. We really appreciate that. It was that was one we were looking forward to too. It was supposed to happen a few months ago, but just stuff comes up, and like it was really good to get the first taste because it's definitely going to happen again for sure. I've wrestled Jordan and Alec in singles, same with Kylon, so we are all very familiar with each other. We know what we all bring to the table, and I think that match was just a small sample of what's to come if we do it again because they're doing a lot more tag team stuff, and especially at GCW, I know they're coming back to Connecticut later on in the month in the year, so that would be pretty crazy to run it back over there or honestly anywhere because, again, it's just tag team wrestling. It's so rare to have a match, especially now with how long we've been doing it, with a match where we haven't wrestled people before. You know, there's so many of this tag teams we wrestled 7 times, you know. Like you said, we wrestled Fresh Air countless amount of times. There's so many teams we wrestled a number of times, and we just wrestled them for the first time. So to do it 7 more times, I'm 100% down for it.
So this might be a tough question for you to answer, and that's completely fine if it is. But looking back so far at you and Kylan's tag team career, do you have any favorite matches of your guys with Miracle Generation taking on any teams?
Yeah, we definitely do. I don't have one that is like number one favorite. There's so many obvious, like it depends what you're looking at. Like I think one that just comes to mind is our match with Becca and Aaron Rourke at America Ron. It was for the IWTV Tag Team titles. That got Beyond Wrestling's match of the year. It's again one of those matches where no expectations. It's just a match, but it turned out to be a match that the 4 of us will never forget. Same thing for the match that goes with Bang and Matthews that we had at Freelance Wrestling for the IWTV titles as well. That match was just unbelievable. We wrestled those guys for so long now. We wrestled Bang and Matthews. Like, honestly, I think it's maybe like a 3-4 year feud with them. And then we finally had a big one at Freelance, which was their home turf. And there's so many great moments that I could think of as well. Like myself and Kalan winning PWPonderings Tag Festival and winning the Tag Team Championships. Like that was so much hard work, working for almost 3 years at DPW and finally getting to the top of that mountain. That's a moment that I don't think, you know, I'll ever, you know, let slip my mind no matter what. That's one of those things that you just can't forget.
Something I really love about watching you guys too is you're proving to be like dynamic in the ring, like character wise as well. Because we are now seeing you guys kind of go down the heel route on Wrestling Open. You know, you formed Miracle Ones with Ichiban, then you kicked them out, you turned on them. And, you know, now we're getting to see a little bit of a darker side of Miracle Generation, but it's awesome to see because you guys are absolutely crushing it. But what was that like for you kind of to turn that cheek in a way, turn that side in a way to a little bit more of a darker side from Miracle Gen?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where you talk about how long you've been doing this, and we've been with Ichiban since day one. He's been someone that's been there for us since day one. And the week after we did turn on him was, I said everything. I said what was true. You know, at the end of the day, we've been there for him for since day one, and he's been there for us when it was like convenient to him. Like I named all these things that he's done at Wrestling Open. He's became the first ever Wrestling Open Tag Team Champions. Like, yes, I'm very happy for my friend. Well, I guess my friend, but at the time, that should have been us, you know, like we should have been the first ever tag team champions. We are the reason that Wrestling Open has this tag team division. And now everyone's just starting to realize it. And it's one of those things where you guys got guys like the Shooter Boys and Swipe Right. Like we had the Shooter Boys first match at Wrestling Open. Swipe Right, they got put together because we had no more teams left to face. You feel like 2 years ago. Like, so it's one of those things where we can't just be, the gatekeepers. We can't anymore. And, now Ichi's trying to find another partner. He's got Brando Lee. We wrestled them at America Ron. It was another, fun match, but it's one of those things where friends they come and go, and myself and Kylon are going to be friends for the rest of the time. And Ichiban's just someone that we just don't need with us anymore, quite frankly. So I feel like we are doing a lot better now in the past 3 months at Wrestling Open than we've done in the past 3 years. So I'm very happy with what we've been doing.
100%. And, I do want to ask too, Wrestling Open is such a cool concept. It really is, because it's something that, we don't see a lot of indie companies do with the weekly shows. And yes, they have their ups and their downs. And it's not easy to do weekly shows, whether you're mainstream or an indie show. So what is it like to kind of be on that weekly type of promotion in a way?
It's a lot of fun. It really is, because it pushes you, it tests you. It definitely does. And we've been there since day one at Wrestling Open, since the idea was first presented to us at Uncharted Territory a few years ago. And I was completely willing to do it, because there's no guarantee you're going to have a show every weekend, especially at that time when we weren't wrestling at all anywhere. And there's this promotion that's going to be willing to run every single Thursday and stream it live. And now you have stories that you can tell. You can have a lot of really fun matches that get seen by a lot of people. And I genuinely believe that Wrestling Open is the reason, or at least one of the reasons, why not just myself but Kylon are out there right now and doing what we're doing, is because people saw what we did on Wrestling Open. And now that they have the Mondays as well and Thursdays at Electric Hayes and Rhodes on the Pawtuxet, it's like the Wrestling Open is genuinely doing something, like you said, that no one else is really doing. There's some weekly shows out there, but not that stream on a platform like IWTV. And it's really fun to just go out there and build your own fan base, because the same fans come every week. There's a reason that they're coming here and not watching Raw. Like they see something that they like here and that they want to keep coming to and bring their friends to and make signs and cheer people and boo people. So it's definitely cool to see what works and what doesn't, because like you said, there's ups and there's downs for sure with everything, especially running weekly. Not everything is going to hit. And then some things that you don't think are going to hit are going to knock it out of the park. So it's just cool with that trial and error, because, it's a good preparation for when hopefully all of us do get to that big level of wrestling weekly on television.
And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up your guys' match with the grizzled young veterans, Jake Something and the Beast Mordos, and the Workhorsemen, when you guys won the Deadlock Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championships. What was it like to work with all those amazing tag teams in that match? Like, each of them are extremely talented, and we know that from what we see on TV, from what we see on the indies and any other match they might have. But what was it like working with them, and not only working with them, but winning the titles?
Yeah, that was a pretty surreal day, to be honest with you. And every time we go to DPW, it just feels pretty surreal. I always said early on that DPW brings in all these unbelievable independent names, whether they're from the indies, whether they're on TV, and then us. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? What's going on? This is kind of crazy. And over the years, it's just been just fun, just to see what we can do there. And this year's Tag Festival was great, because in the first round earlier that night, we beat Violence is Forever, who is everyone's fan favorite. So that was the big shock factor, I guess you could say, going into these finals, because they have 4 tag team matches. And then all those 4 winners then go on to a fatal 4-way elimination tag team match. And like you said, it was Jake Something, Beast Mordos, Workhorsemen, us, and GYV. And that is a crazy finals. And just to be in the ring with those guys was nuts. We've had a tag team match with Workhorsemen before. They were our first ever match at DPW, a match that, again, that can go on the list of one of the favorites. It's really one of my genuine favorites. We've wrestled GYV a number of times. Never been in the ring with Jake Something or Beast Mordos, but they are a crazy pairing, absolutely insane. And to be able to walk out with not just the win of the tournament, but the win of the belts as well, and just to walk out with so much was just one of those stop and smell the roses moments, because you always hear about it, but it's hard to do it sometimes. It's hard to sit in the moment and realize that what you're doing is actually pretty cool. It really is. Some of the things that I've done over my career, I'm so grateful for. So that was one of those, get to the back and just stare at the belts and the trophies for a little bit and just be this is happening, I was just 16 years old a few years ago. sitting in, Meriden, Connecticut, not even doing a damn thing. And now I'm wrestling for one of the biggest independent wrestling promotions in the world. And I'm at the top of the mountain there. So it's definitely one of those things that you just got to stop and, smell the roses.
And when you guys won the titles, you also got to defend it against GYV in a regular 2-on-2 tag team match. Was there anything really special about that, dude? Not taking away from your title win, but just to be able to work GYV 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 as opposed to a multi-team match?
Yeah, that was I think that 2-on-2 was our third 2-on-2 with them. Our first time was at Blitzkrieg Pro for the IWTV Tag Team Championships on New Year's Eve a few years back. That was when they roughly were fresh on the indie scene. So that was our biggest match to date at that point. Then we wrestled them when they were still the champions, and then one of our defenses was against them, which was crazy because, though, like I said, they are the epitome of tag team wrestling. They genuinely are. And I think probably myself and Kylon's best tag team match was that match from that night. Like James Drake put a tweet out that night that was very, very meaningful to us. It just said, he's been wrestling for 20 years and you're not going to remember every match, but that night is a match that they're not going to ever forget. And that means a lot because those are guys that, like you said, we watched on television. We take a lot of our moves from them. And to hear one of them say that a match that they had with us, they're never going to forget because it was so good to them, that means genuinely the world to us. So it's just that extra piece of motivation that we needed to keep moving forward, because there's one thing to win the belts and there's another thing to, stay champions and, stay consistent and relevant as champions. And I think we're trying our best to do exactly that.
For sure. And, we could sit here and talk for hours about your tag team career. A lot of credit to you guys for everything you guys were able to accomplish so far. And I wish you guys lots of luck going future. But I do want to talk a little bit about your singles career as well. Because this Saturday, we'll see you in Canada with New Outlaws Wrestling taking on Kevin Gray. What's your mindset heading into that and competing in singles competition in Canada?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot more singles recently just because you got to stay fresh. You got to stay, consistent. And like I said, before the tag team stuff, I was a singles competitor. And right now I'm currently holding 3 different singles championships. I'm trying to keep myself fresh because you have to do that. Even like you said at Wrestling Open, I've been doing a lot more singles there. You got to just keep yourself moving, keep yourself ready to go. And this Saturday we got a big debut. I've been grateful to have a number of singles matches in Canada. This is my first time going against Kevin. I saw that recently he did wrestle Ichiban, so I might have to check that one out and see, what I'm getting myself into. But I've heard nothing but great things, and I've heard nothing but terrible things about Canada. I've been there, I've seen it. It's I don't love it. The drive sucks, but you know what? We're gonna go across the border and we're gonna kick some ass. So I'm very excited.
That's going to be a good one, and that's going to be on IWTV for anyone who's watching this, so make sure to check that out. IWTV, Saturday night, New Outlaws Wrestling. That's going to be a good show. We're going to see Zach Patterson, too, versus Chris Starr there. I think that's going to be a good match, a really good match as well. So be sure to check that out if you're watching this, if you're reading this as well. So I did also want to talk about, you said you spoke briefly about you're holding 3 singles titles right now. One of which is the BST Territory Championship, and that one is one of my personal favorite new up and coming promotions. I want to say around today, because the shows they're putting on are just fantastic. And then seeing you kind of do your thing, working with the likes of Darius Carter, Anthony Green, so many other great names as well. The Northeast. What has it been for you? What's it been for you like working there? And kind of having that run so far as a BST Territory Champion?
Yeah, BST is a very special place in my heart because it's the first promotion that I wrestled outside of PAPW, outside of my school. I was there for their first ever show. I believe it was in 2019. So they've been around for a very long time. I believe to this day, I'm still the longest reigning BST heavyweight champion. So I'm very close to being, a Grand Slam if I can just get those tag team titles, get Kylon to do some tag stuff over there. But yeah, BSTs, it's a lot of fun. It's great. And like you said, to see them become what they've become now, from what they were, putting on some of the best shows for sure. And it's local. It's in Connecticut. And there's not a lot of crazy good indie wrestling in Connecticut. You've got a bunch of good promotions. Like Fight Life will run every once in a while in CT. You got Blitzkrieg, like I said, PAPW, Test of Strength. There's a lot of good promotions, but I think BST is just standing out. You know, our Mega Clash was one of, I think, the best shows that CT's seen in a while. You had Dijak versus Sammy Diaz, myself and Anthony Green. There were so many good, like Richard Holiday and Desmond Cole. Like that was awesome, you know. So like, there's a lot of good things happening at BST, and I beat Darius Carter last November, so we're coming up on a year. And the last defense with Anthony Green was definitely one that, you know, it was definitely memorable because I've wrestled him so many times now, being in a few matches with him at Wrestling Open, whether it was singles or tags recently, and being able to wrestle him singles. He's, again, one of those guys that's just so smart and so good, and he knows what he's doing. And they always say iron sharpens iron, but you want to be in there with someone that's better than you. That's the only way you're going to get better, is by wrestling people that are better than you. So you can see what you do wrong, because they will expose you so quick and show you what you need to work on. And yeah, BST is a place to do that. I'm there to test myself. And that's what I've been saying since the beginning, is I want to test myself. So I believe I got some pretty interesting matches coming up that you'll have to stay tuned to see what's coming up.
That's going to be a blast, and I hope we get to see it on IWTV soon for sure. I know there was a little bit of a hiccup with the last show. Unfortunately, it did not air on IWTV, but I believe that it's up on the VOD channel now, I want to say. So if anyone wants to go back and watch that show, please do. Great show. Looking ahead for you, what are your hopes for the future? Do you have any future goals that you have for yourself or for Kylon and you as well?
Yeah, honestly, you know, and this might be the, you know, not the best thing to say, but I've never been a big like goals person. It sounds weird. I've never been one to just set goals, because like I said earlier, when I first started wrestling, none of this I would have even thought of. You know, like perfect example, being able to wrestle Leo Rush, like literally one of my dream matches, and being able to wrestle him singles and my best is, to this day, my best match singles for sure was against Leo. And all the things that I've done that I've named off so far that I couldn't even, you know, get to name the rest. I want it to work. I do. And I don't know what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong, but whatever's happening is working out right now. And like, I do think having fun is very important. If you go into it thinking that it's just stressful and it's like work at the end of the day, you got to enjoy. And I have to remember sometimes that this is my dream. This is just my childhood dream. So I got to go in there and have fun. So my goal is just to put the most effort that I can into everything from now on, you know, like, and not just from this point forward, but that's what I've been doing this entire year. That was my, like, I guess New Year's resolution was just to just put 100% into whatever it is, whether it's in the ring, out of the ring. Every single booking I have, I'm going to treat it, whether there's 10 fans or there's 10,000 fans. It really doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to have that little kid at heart. You know, I'm living my dream. So just have fun.
That's so important, because I won't name names out of privacy for them, but like I've seen recently people who were kind of up and coming on the indie scene here I'm on Long Island, New York. So, and I don't see them anymore. And then I was talking to one of them not too long ago, and they're like, oh yeah, I left because it just wasn't fun for them. So that's the tough part about wrestling. And then when I watch matches with you, Kylon, bunch of others, like you can really tell how much fun they're having. Like you guys are having. And that's like so awesome to see, because it does really translate in the ring for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely got to have fun, because there are ups and there are downs. There's going to be times where wrestling is going to kick you in the ass for sure, but you got to be able to just get up, because wrestling's not going anywhere. If you leave, it's going to keep moving. The wheel's going to keep spinning. You know, you have to, you know, keep yourself relevant and keep yourself on top, but also keep yourself happy, because if you're not happy, then there's no point in doing this.
For sure. And, you know, kind of to the same token as my last question, if you have an answer to this, great. If not, no worries. Do you have anyone in mind that you would really like to share the ring with, whether it be singles action or tag team action?
I think tag team wise, I got to go big and just say the Hardy Boys. You know, they're a team that at this point I know they're not going to be around for that much longer. You know, like they've said it themselves. They're getting to that point where they're done soon. So they're one of those teams that is the main reason why a lot of not just tag team wrestlers, but singles wrestlers are wrestling. They're just the reason that wrestling is the way it is right now. The Hardy Boys are crucial to not just independent wrestling, but just wrestling as a whole. Like Jeff Hardy himself has, like, you know, become one of the most popular people in wrestling and outside of wrestling. So I think the Hardy Boys are definitely a team that myself and Kylan would love to just knock off the list, because you're seeing a lot of our favorites hang them up, because it's getting to that time where the people that we watched when we were younger are starting to stop, and the new generation's coming up. So I think the Hardy Boys would have to be a big one. And singles wise, this is a match that I've been wanting for a while, which, we never know if it will happen, but I'd love to go one-on-one with Nick Wayne. I think that match would be a lot of fun. He's someone that, I very much enjoy watching. And over the past few years, he's become a very close friend of mine. So I think that match would definitely be one I'd be looking forward to singles.
That would be an amazing match. Both of them, Miracle Gen versus Hardys, or you versus Nick Wayne one-on-one. Those would be incredible. And I really hope we get to see either one or both sooner rather than later.
Yeah, of course.
So is there any final message that you have for anyone who might be watching this, or how they could support you, buy your merch, follow you as well?
Yeah, on social media, every single social media platform and handle for me is @It's Dustin Waller. I have a pro wrestling tees site that you can go check out. It's in the description of every social media platform I have. And just try to stay in contact with all your favorite wrestlers. Try to stay watching. If you like a wrestler, watch them. Comment on their posts, like their posts, share their posts, because social media is so crucial now. It's so important. It's very hard to, I guess, make it, if that's the word, without social media. So if you want to see people succeed, you got to help them out. If you want to see someone at a promotion, tag them below, hit up the promotion, blow them up, make your voices heard. And if you have people that you like, just let them know you like them. Because like you said, we need that motivation sometimes. So, just will help us out and we'll help you out.
Awesome. And I do thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate everything. And I wish you lots of luck going forward. You're one of my favorites. So
no,
you have a very bright future.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.